Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Rebecca. In this video I want to talk about Michael Jackson and the links between him, the divine feminine, and matriarchal values. I'm an MJ fan and I have been since I was a child. I saw him live in History Tour in Gothenburg when I was 12. Lately, he has received a lot of attention again, 17 years after his passing, because of the biopic Michael. Firstly, when I talk about the divine feminine, I'm aware of the co-opting of that term that has been happening in some circles. When I say divine feminine or feminine energy, I am not referring to gender roles or traditionalism in any way, quite the opposite. And I am not referring to aesthetics either. The true feminine and masculine are frequencies or energies that exist in all of us. We all have both within us. Feminine energy is creative and free thinking. Masculine energy is structured and disciplined. Although some individuals can have more of one than the other, regardless of their sex or gender, there should be a balance of both in all of us. Both are needed, but not in some of the distorted, controlling ways that it has been made into in society sometimes. However, the feminine energy has been suppressed in many ways, and especially so in men, but also in women. It has been suppressed in all of us. Michael Jackson, on the other hand, was not afraid to embody this part of himself. He was a creative, free spirit. He was sensitive and deeply empathetic, and didn't conform to what society expected. And all of this made him very powerful in the most positive sense. When we talk about matriarchy, we are not talking about patriarchy the other way around. Patriarchy is a system of oppression. Matriarchy is a completely different way of viewing the world. It's not hierarchical, but instead communal. It's peaceful and it centers children, women, and those who are most marginalized and most vulnerable. But it wants what is best for everyone. Michael Jackson centered children and people who are vulnerable and marginalized. He spoke up against injustices and he gave so much to causes that helped children especially. This was then misunderstood and weaponized against him. Some people thought he was weird because he didn't conform to what a man was expected to act like. He had creative, playful, soft, and sensitive qualities about him, as well as being very influential and powerful. He embraced not only his inner feminine, but also his inner child. I even think finding our creativity and playfulness is maybe the only way to be truly powerful, because it's the most effective way to manifest. And MJ was a master at manifesting. Even his appearance was considered somewhat feminine, or at least androgynous. He embraced these parts of himself unapologetically, and many people were drawn to that, even if he also received a lot of scrutiny for it. He, consciously or not, went against the status quo for what a man is supposed to be under patriarchy. In one of my favorite songs by him, Will You Be There, he even refers to this in the lyrics where he says, But they told me a man should be faithful and walk when not able and fight till the end, but I'm only human. That brings me to his friendships and relationships with women. I mentioned how he embodied matriarchal values by centering children and marginalized people, and even animals. But he also centered women, in the sense that he surrounded himself with women that often were his closest confidants and that were very powerful, influential people in their own right. He truly respected and listened to women. Some of these women were his mother Catherine. It should be mentioned that he left his whole estate to his mother and his children, which says a lot about who he centered in his life. His best friend Elizabeth Taylor, who is an absolute icon both as an actress and as an activist. And it's worth mentioning that she was 26 years his senior. In matriarchy, older women are revered because they have the wisdom and life experience that we can learn from. And these two also had a lot in common, having grown up in show business. His friend, Princess Diana, also an icon. Diana Ross, a musical legend who helped him in his early career. His sister Janet, who he collaborated with and who is an iconic artist in her own right. I will go as far as to say that Michael Jackson was a matriarchal type of man. He shows that having these values is not about diminishing yourself as a human being because you are male, but it is about becoming more human by embracing the whole of your humanity, of not being afraid of going against the norm and also centering others. Even though he was immensely successful, he didn't make it all about himself. Embracing his feminine energy, which is within us all regardless of sex and gender, meant he was able to perceive other people's needs, and especially children's needs, and to decenter himself and be nurturing to others. He has said himself that if it wasn't for the children, I'd throw in the towel. Everything in my heart is for them. And he said that children meant the stars, the moon, the universe, and that all children, not just his own, all children do, not just his own. And he had 3 children himself. He said he's not territorial and he always felt a responsibility to take care of others. These are true matriarchal values, centering children, but not just your own children, and realizing that we are all responsible for the caretaking of the children in the world. In one way or another, whether we have our own children or not. Me as an example, I am child-free, but I can still feel a responsibility as a human being for the care of children in general. Matriarchal values is not about nuclear family or having our own children if we don't want to. It's about building community and extending our circle of care beyond our closest family. And this is what Michael Jackson did and embodied. And he had the resources to do so in a larger sense because of his talent and success. Matriarchal values are about equality, equity, and it mostly rejects hierarchies. It's not about who has power over who. It's about rejecting oppressive power structures altogether for the good of everyone. MJ never saw himself as above anyone else as a person. Someone who is that excellent at what they do could easily get a big head. But he never did, not in the way he treated other people. He even saw his fans not as fans, but as family. Again, this comes back to extending the idea of what family is and creating a larger community. I could continue on about this in relation to his love for the earth, what is often called Mother Earth, but that's for another time. For now, thank you for listening, and remember to always follow your inner guidance. Until next time, bye.